Pain is a main arc villain in Naruto. And really, he's the primary villain for much of Naruto's run. That really only shifts late in the series when we're gearing up for the final confrontation. As a result, he's pretty prominent through a large part of the series, and there is a lot to talk about. So we're going to split this part into two separate parts so that I can avoid rushing through it. Pain is present through the beginning of Shippuden in a more managerial role. We really see him, or rather his silhouette, when speaking to the other members of Akatsuki, either to give them missions or hear their reports after completing them. He's fairly inactive until Sasori and Deidara, and later Hidan and Kakuzu, are gone. By then, nearly all of the Jinchuriki have been captured and their tailed beasts have been extracted. With this sudden severe lack of staffing, Pain has to prepare himself to personally go capture Naruto. Before he's able to leave the Hidden Rain village, he notices someone has infiltrated it. Pain sends Konan to assess the intruder, and when she reports back that it's Jiraiya, he tells her to deal with him. As I mentioned in the Konan videos, she fights pretty admirably against Jiraiya, but eventually it's clear the tide is turning in his favor. That's when Pain intervenes by engaging Jiraiya with the first body of the animal path that we, the audience, are introduced to. In fact, this is the first face and body outside of the Yahiko main Pain body that we get to see at all as the audience of Naruto. Before this, we did not know there were multiple incarnations or multiple bodies being used for the entity Pain. Now, there's not exactly a huge population of people with the rinnegan just walking around, and so even though the body that he's encountering is not familiar to him, he immediately recognizes the rinnegan and assumes that he's actually fighting Nagato. The two exchange pretty harsh words and begin to fight. Jiraiya actually holds his own very well against the animal path, dealing with the summons as they come up, until two more bodies join the fight. Given this escalation from Pain, Jiraiya responds in kind by activating Sage Mode, and this is the first time we see anyone use Sage Mode in the Naruto series at all. And this fight is a tough one for Jiraiya because the three bodies all share visual data. They can cover each other's blind spots, making fighting and engaging them very difficult. After some impressive senjutsu technique display, Jiraiya, taking a page out of your favorite deli, actually immobilizes these three bodies in the same way that a toothpick immobilizes the various layers of a club sandwich. He assumes, wrongly I might add, that this is the end of Nagato and Pain. This is a slip-up on Jiraiya's part, unfortunately, and he is taken off guard when three additional bodies join the fight. Not only do they use him as a pincushion, before that, the Asura Path actually crushes his throat. So even though he has allies in the two Toad Sages that have joined him in the fight, he cannot verbalize any of his last thoughts as he's dying. His last act is to engrave with his finger in the back of one of the two Toad Sages a coded message for the Leaf, and more specifically for Naruto. And the message reads, "The real one is not among them." More on that later. Having dealt with their former master, Nagato and Konan move towards the Leaf to capture Naruto. As they move closer to the Leaf, Pain concocts a plan. He'll utilize his newly created animal path after Jiraiya damaged the last one beyond use to infiltrate the village and trick the sensory ninja in the village into thinking there's a sole intruder as opposed to the full Pain invasion force. Once in position in the Leaf, the animal path uses its summoning ability to summon the other Pain bodies as well as Konan to have them all move into their positions for the attack. It is not long before the Deva path is confronted by Kakashi, who is wise to the push and pull techniques of this path, due to the intel provided by the Toad Sages. Kakashi puts up a solid opposition and is even able to figure out a limitation of the push and pull techniques of the Deva path, that there's a time limit between when he can use that technique. The coordination between the different paths of Pain proves too much for Kakashi to handle though, and unfortunately, the Asura path pushes him back and escapes. Kakashi is now exhausted and on the verge of death, having used all his chakra in the fight. He tells Choji, who is nearby, to quickly get a message to the Hokage about the Deva Path's time limit between when it can use the push and pull techniques. The Asura Path is still around though, and is ready to stop Choji from delivering that message. With the last bit of his energy, he uses one final Kamui to deal with the attack on Choji. Though Choji escapes and is able to deliver the message, Kakashi has used all of his chakra and dies from overexertion. Pain's assault on the Leaf continues in the next part.